Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide and another edition of Q&A. I'm really enjoying doing these and I intend to continue doing this because every once in a while something interesting pops by and you guys have very interesting questions sometimes or interesting observations. And I think it's a really nice way to actually just keep in touch. So let's commence. How do you find time to do everything you do? I guess the answer is with MDO. I'd love to be your student. Well, not to toot my own horn, but yes, that is exactly how I do manage to stay organized. That is actually how MDO came to be, because I had so much on my plate. I needed something more than what I had at my hands disposable. So of course there's apps, there's tons of things, but nothing was so easy and straightforward but also powerful to do as something that I made, which was the MDO. And as you can see, this is Quaderno A4 Gen 2 that I'm using, and its use case is MDO and MMP only. That's the only thing that I have on this device, and that's the only thing that I'm using on this device, that I'm using this device for. The reasons behind it maybe in a different video, but because I'm going to be focusing on the question here. But yes, one of the ways to organize is actually my daily organizer, genuinely. And I use it on a daily basis all the time. It took me years to actually not have that every day is a 16-hour workday and that I don't have weekends. For years I really didn't have weekends because I was balancing work and extra activities, and this was extra activities while they were building, and then over time this becomes work and other things become extra activities, etc., etc. But as I was maturing and understanding that I'm no longer 20-ish or 30-ish, and that my body is not gonna be okay with the 16-hour work days and no weekends, and that there's like a bill that comes at the end, I realized that I had to change these things. So I did make quite a bit of changes, and especially this year, I talked about it in the live stream that we had yesterday. Yesterday at the day of recording, and this is going to be like 2 weeks ago when the video comes out. But yeah, I mentioned that I needed to create a change in my organization of obligations and also the mindset itself. The trouble with YouTube is that it can be all-encompassing and it can create this false sense of urgency that, FOMO, right? But FOMO that you're going to miss out on the viewership, audience, or something like that. Let's call it what it is, attention. That you're going to miss out on attention because that's what YouTube wants you. It's like, oh, look at me, look at me. I absolutely hate that. And anybody who actually follows my channel from the get-go knows that I really don't care about that. I do my thing and I try to do a good job. Who likes it, who doesn't, move on. There's plenty of content and it's fine. So as far as I'm concerned, that was the mindset that I had. But when you get into the machine, you get sucked into that whole thing, not of fear of missing out attention, but of, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? And it took a really long time for me to kind of rethink the approach to this whole thing. And the thing that worked for me was, what I started implementing from this year, from January this year. So number one thing was I turned off all of the email notifications on my phone. That was number one thing. So I have different work mailboxes. So the only notifications that I do get are on my private personal email account. Then the second thing that I did, I turned off all of the notifications for the YouTube Studio, which is the app that is used on this one. That actually gave me the ability to have concentrated chunks of time where I don't have any distractions and I'm simply working. I'm starting from A, getting to D by doing A, B, C, D, and not having A, X. Oh, where was I? Oh, A, B, there's W. Oh, okay, where was I? Oh, there was a B. Okay, so B, then X, Y, Z. Oh, okay, those are all the distractions that pull you all away. And the problem with that is that for me at least, and I guess for a lot of people as well, is that when you get pulled out, especially if you're doing creative work or high concentration work, it takes time to get back. You need to, so first of all, your attention needs to get back. You need to backtrack a little bit and hope that you get into the flow that you were in and continue. Now, that backtracking takes time. And also, it takes time to get back into the groove and into the zone and into the rhythm where you were when you're doing a block of A, B, C, D. And that's something that I was missing. So one of the things that happened was that when I turned off notifications and focused my workday so that it's more controlled, so that I'm in control of my workday and not this. This is not in control of my workday. I'm in control of it. The change that happened was that I became a lot more productive, which makes perfect sense because I was not distracted by any of these things. So it, yeah, going back to this one, it just helps because as you can see, I have morning routine, then I have customer support for MDO, MMP, and that includes also checking out comments and going through that. But I do that once a day, just once in the morning and only on work days. Weekends are for me. That's it. Weekends are not for working. So those things basically allowed me to become more productive, more focused, and more rested because I allowed myself to actually have a weekend. Granted, Mondays, which is today is a Monday when I'm recording this, I do them every other week. So every other Monday, I do a YouTube day where I need to record 4 videos. So I need to record, edit them, render them, and schedule them all in one day. That is normally like a 16 to 17 hour day. So I still do have those, which are really, really big. But the benefit of it is that I've done this one huge push and a chunk. And then I continue working normally. 8 to 9 hour workday is a normal workday for me. And I can have continuous focus all the while in the back burner. I get one non-main thread core processing the interesting content and the things that I might be able to do, and what are the other 4 videos that I'm going to be making for the next batch of 2 weeks. So long way around, I just use this question to also explain this kind of workflow, and maybe somebody finds it useful because I think some of the information is important, because I would have appreciated if I had some of these inklings and I could have received them at the time so that I could, take care of myself a little bit more better, because YouTube doesn't, as a platform, doesn't really care about the creator, and it usually will drive them into the ground. So you need to take care of yourself, and that's a difficult process and a difficult lesson that everybody has to work on their own. But that's why I wanted to kind of provide this a little bit more of an elaborate type of thing, because if you can get some benefit from it and I can share that, then I'm happy. Hello, there's a few reports on Reddit complaining about the fragility of the Onyx Boox screens, making these devices not transportable. Would you confirm these reports? Thanks. I'm not really sure what do you mean, how can I confirm them? Do they exist as Reddit posts? Yes, they do. Is that something that's my own personal experience with a lot of Boox devices that I've had? Absolutely not. So it really depends what you're doing. You need to take into consideration that doesn't matter which e-ink device it is. E-ink screen is a fragile thing. That's a given. They can break easily. So that's point number 1. So if you have an e-ink device, regardless of who made it, that's something that you have to keep in mind. Point number 2, if it's a metal device, it's going to be heavy. And if it's a heavy device that also has glass on front, it's going to be fragile. Most of the Boox devices have metal, glass, and e-ink screen as a combination, and that makes them a fragile device. But that's not a Boox thing, that's a device thing. So any other device that has those specifications will have the same type of fragility. So as far as I'm concerned, no, I haven't had any of the issues that you kind of are alluding to. And also I would refrain from saying those all-encompassing things like a lot of people or some people or blah blah blah. it's not constructive, and more often than not, it's basically like a handful of people who are just making a ton of noise all over the internet, and because it's a really small community, that's an impression that somebody can get. But when you start digging into the whole story, then you see that there's always, 100% of the time, there's always another layer. A few years back, there was the same type of thing, which was like, oh, I've read a lot of posts that Boox devices have terrible batteries. And that was just like a handful of people. I literally know 2 people who were repeating the same freaking thing over and over and over again, wherever they could, creating a ton of noise. And it turned out that it was them actually misusing the device and blowing up the battery. So will faults happen on Boox devices? Absolutely, as they do happen on all of the devices. Oh, are all Boox devices more fragile? No, they're not. Are certain Boox devices more fragile? I really don't know, because I don't have all of them to use all of them. I have Note Air 3C that I use on a daily basis, and I carry with me in my pouch, so it's squished, but it's in its protective foil. I've never had any issues with it. I even had that whole pouch fall down with the device in. Didn't happen. The device fell down in the flip book cover once on the carpet. Nothing happened. I had a heavier pen fall on the screen. Nothing happened. So normal use case scenarios, even in situations where it was like an accident, where I was thinking like, oh, I may have broken it, it didn't happen. So no, that's not something that I can confirm. Next one is in regards to the Doodroo paper-like screen protector for Boox Tab Ultra, and it says, does it reduce touch sensitivity? This is a major issue and most videos don't cover it. Well, not that I have experienced, but I haven't spent so much time with it. But when I did test it out a little bit, it was all normal. The only thing, the thing that was far more of an impression for me is that the reflectivity was far worse than what it was, and basically I just took it off and I did not like it at all. But as for the touch sensitivity, it's not really something that I've noticed as a problem at all. Will it reduce? Is there a possibility that it will reduce touch sensitivity accuracy? Yes, because it's adding a layer of thickness. But yeah, to my limited extent of testing it, not that I've noticed. There's a whole bunch of testers that seem to have received a Kobo Clara color and Kobo Libra color. I was just wondering, did you receive them too? Will we be seeing a review on those? Really good question. I haven't been in contact with Kobo, and they haven't contacted me, so they haven't really sent those devices, but I will contact them, and then I'll ask if they can send 1 or 2, and then I can feature them on my deep guide, because Kobo Libra is one of my all-time favorite readers, and it would be interesting to actually see what it's like in color. I'm not really sure. I think that it has like a stylus support now, which I really am not sure why would it need that. At the very least, it would be interesting to actually see how Kobo Libra is with a color screen, and how Kobo is, you know, implementing the Kaleido tree technology, because what I've noticed is that while they all get the same panels, the way they calibrate them and the way they actually use them and the way they implement them actually is different, and it does make a difference between who implements the same technology how. How long until a review of a 13.3-inch color device comes out? Wow, that's a vague question. I don't know, because I don't know of a color 13.3-inch device that is widely available on the market. I know that there was one, I don't remember the name, there was like crowdfunded or something like that, but that's not available for purchase or anything like that, and I certainly didn't get any contact from a manufacturer like that. As for estimations, well, we've had a 13.3-inch Kaleido 3 panel available now for almost a year, so I would think that we might be looking at bigger producers maybe releasing something this year, maybe early next year. And I'm mainly thinking like the first one who's going to do it is probably going to be Boox, and it's probably going to be Tab XC, or I don't know, something like that. But the major concern for me there would be the price. Let's take a hypothetical and let's talk about Tab X, which is like 800 something US dollar, close to $900 when you add everything together. with the Kaleido Tree screens, like the average difference between a color and a non-color 10.3-inch screen is like $100. So I guess we're looking at a cool 1,000, maybe even a little bit north of $1,000 for a device like that. That's an enormous amount of money for something like that. So I'm not really sure, even if it does happen to be released, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. That price tag, I think, on these devices is going to be a really, really big obstacle for people to adopt. The next question is in regards the Eazeye transflective LCD Radiant portable display, the one that I did an unboxing of. With the backlight off, can you see the screen well with the desk lamp in a dimly lit room? No, it simply is not possible to actually see anything because it is a essentially a reflective LCD type of technology. Now, on that note, some of you who have watched that video have noticed the description and the pinned comment that I made, and I've just used here the word reflective, but in the beginning of it I said like transflective. So what's going on? Well, prior to making the video, all of my communication with Eazeye, or all of the communication that I received from Eazeye, at first they were referencing the monitor as our new reflective LCD or our new RLCD product. That's how they classified it. Then in the follow-up communication that we had when I received the device and we had a back and forth about functionalities and things like that and questions that I had, it was always RLCD/TLCD. That's how it was referred to. Fast forward to me creating a video and relating to the Radiant as a reflective LCD panel, because essentially that's what the core of the technology is. But then I get an email from Eazeye, hey, can you change the title from reflective to transflective, because SVD guys are not happy with it. And then I get a very long email from SVD basically saying that they've been in communication with Eazeye for a long time, expressing their concern with Eazeye basically coinciding the reflective LCD and transflective LCD as one and the same. And that's exactly what happened. That's how the product was presented to me. And furthermore, there was zero mention from Eazeye or Eazeye that this is a thing, that this is an ongoing thing that they have with SVD, that SVD has a problem with Eazeye using RLCD with a product that is TLCD, right? Now, let's just make a really short summary of what's the difference here. Reflective LCD is has a fully reflected mirror behind the LCD cells, so it captures the environment light, bounces it off through the LCD cells, and that's how you form a picture, okay? Transflective LCD has a one-way mirror. So one-way mirror, it reflects most of the photons that hit it, so it has the reflective LCD part, so it does the same thing, but it also allows photons or light that comes from the back side of it to go through it, and that way a transflective LCD panel is able to have a backlight behind it and basically be backlit. So that's the major difference here that we have between the two. Now both are undeniably reflective LCD panels. The only difference is a true RLCD is 100% reflective mirror, and you can put a dozen backlights behind it and it will have zero effect whatsoever, because they will not transmit the light from behind it, while the transflective one does have that. SVD sent me some data points, and the difference in reflectivities are there, but they're so small that these things are not something that users can actually notice in a day-to-day basis. Is there a genuine difference between the technology? Yes, there is. One can have a backlight, the other one can't. So that in itself is good enough of a reason to make a clear distinction between the two. That's my opinion on this whole thing. Now, as far as the Eazeye and stuff, there was back and forth. Then I was just in the middle of these two, and I really didn't want to be there, nor did I ask to be there, because all Eazeye should have done was say beforehand, hey, we have this communication with the SVD and they're not cool with us using our LCD. Can you make sure that you don't use our LCD in your review when you're talking about our product? Just make sure that you're classifying it as transelective LCD. Hey presto, problem solved. But that's not what happened, and that's what we have. Furthermore, there's some more communication stuff, and it's just like a whole mess. So for me, I'm going to be returning that product back to Eazeye before doing the in-depth review, simply because I don't want to be a part of this whole thing anymore. It's just not something that I enjoy in any way, shape or form. And also I've covered enough so that people who are interested in the product and maybe want to back it or something like that, they can actually see some real world examples. So there's not really a tremendous huge amount that I could offer in addition in the in-depth review. So I don't think that the viewers are going to miss out on that not being the case. So, but just so that you know, that's basically a backstory behind what's going on with Eazeye Radiant and why you won't be seeing the Eazeye Radiant in-depth review on mydeepguide. Have you thought about a planned video on cyber defending these new writing devices from hackers? How secure are these devices? Thanks. Well, they are not, unless you have a proper VPN or proper internet security package installed in some way. They are not secure at all. The only ones that can be secured are the devices that have Google Play Store, because that allows you to install and use internet security, antivirus, firewalls and VPNs. So for example, Boox devices can do that, and I can have my whole antivirus spread of things installed on them and they can be secure. But Supernote, Remarkable, and basically any other device that doesn't have a proper Google Play Store won't be as secure. Now, what about side-loading apps? Side-loading apps is not secure in itself, right? And if I were a malicious attacker, what would be the first type of APKs that I would infect with malware? Would it be maybe the internet security APK files? Probably. So be very, very, very careful, as Elmer Fudd would say, when thinking about these things and side-loading APKs. The only proper way that I would advise that you maybe side-load an APK of an internet security kind of solution to your device that does support side loading. If I have my antivirus on my phone, then I can go to the installations and I can export that as an APK file, and then I can transfer that APK file onto my and side load it onto, I don't know, Supernote or something like that, because that ensures that that APK file went through the security screening process that Google Play Store does have in place. Is it 100% secure? Of course not. You've seen the headlines as well. So problems do appear even on Google Play Store. Can you imagine how much of it you have on non-Google Play Store APKs? So that's something to keep in mind. Question about MDO. Can I integrate this planner in OneNote, or do I use it as a standalone PDF? No, you cannot integrate it. It is a standalone PDF. Because I'd like to be able to use this planner, but also create reminders in Outlook, Microsoft To Do. Unfortunately, that's not something that you can do because it is simply a PDF file. And even though PDF files technically do support JavaScript implementations, so technically on a different platform it would be possible, although extremely insecure and a high risk kind of thing to have an exposed JavaScript there, but still you would be technically able to get the current date and maybe communicate with some of the services. That's not possible to do on these devices because these devices, for a very good reason, do not support JavaScript implementations in PDF. So no, that's not something that you can do with the MDO or MMP. You can use them as standalone PDF organizer files. Hi, can you share a review of Bigme InkNote Black and White 10.3 inch? I heard it's considered among the fastest e-reader. Would like to know from your point of view. Well, I don't have it, and Bigme hasn't really contacted me, and I'm a little bit reluctant to work with Bigme again because my previous experience was not really that good. They wanted to take control over the content of what was said and how it was said and how it was presented. And that's a big no-no for me. So that was a huge deterrent, and I still have a really big question mark. Should I or should I not consider working with Bigme again? Simply because, yeah, if I do, I will need to put like really well-defined guardrails, because as I said last time, they tried and they exerted a lot of pressure on basically having a say in what my review of their product is, and that's just a no-no. So for me, that's an indication of the company itself, the company policy, the company mentality, and things like that. And that's the reason why you don't actually see Bigme devices on my deep guide since the last one. But yeah, please do let me know in comments down below what your thoughts are. Is this something that I should consider? Should I help a company like this get more exposure and things like that? Company that I know is trying to do shady things in interaction with me, so I don't know what they're doing with interaction with others, things like that, and I won't go into speculation with that. I'm just sticking with my own situation here. So is that something that you think that I should be entertaining or not? Hi, I just bought my Note Air 3C and will be arrived soon. I'd like to ask you, which other pen should I get to make even more better experience on top of that instead of using the stock pen? Well, my advice would be start using the stock pen first and then use it for an extended period of time until you start to understand what it is that you like. I can't tell you what you will like in a pen because the pen is a really subjective thing. Thankfully, there's lots of resources that you can find even on my deep guide. A long time ago, I did like a really detailed pen type comparisons, and then you can actually see which ones would be a best fit for your needs. But I honestly advise you to first allow yourself at least some time to get used to the device, to get used to the pen and these things, and then you will have a much better understanding of what it is exactly that you want and need. Alright, that's it from me for this edition of Q&A. I hope that you found it informative, entertaining and or useful. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell in the description below to get notified when new videos come out on My Deep Guide. And also do check out mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find the before mentioned MDO and MMP, which do genuinely, for me at least, make a big difference in how productive and how well organized my work and life actually will be. So if that's something that may be interest to you, check out the linked playlist in the description below. Then you'll get a lot more information about those products, and then you see, hey, this is for me or this is not for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.